Hey everybody, welcome back to College Finance, the place where finance is made easy. As most of you guys know, I did make this channel to support and inform anyone and everyone on certain subjects regarding finance that are not explicitly taught in school. If any of that vibes with you guys or you think you can find value in this, please subscribe to support us. So, the big question today, how to build your credit. Okay, and the good news is it is not that hard, but it is kind of like a game and it can be confusing. It is also very annoying that it has to be this way, but I can't change how the world decides if you're, a financially responsible person. I can't change that. So we're going to have to learn how to play the game, which I'm going to show you guys hopefully within this roughly 10-minute video, and we should be set and ready to go. So what you guys need to know is there are essentially 5 key metrics, and I think there could be technically 6 that are used to calculate your credit score, all right? And like I said before, your credit score is super important in today's society, and if you are struggling to understand what credit is, please kindly go back to the credit playlist I have created and go to the first video. This is the second video. You may want to check and just find out what credit even is in the first video if you have not done that already. Okay, so the key metrics. The first one is payment history, and it takes up about 35% of your total credit score. Okay, so this is roughly 1/3, of all of everything that your credit score looks at. This takes up 1/3 of it. Okay, so this is the biggest section of them all. Right, payment history. It's very simple. All it means is making consistent and on-time payments. Okay, and this is probably the best way to positively influence your credit score. If you always make payments and you never miss a payment, and guys, it shouldn't be that hard. I have tips to make it super easy later in the video, so please stay on. Okay, you guys can have a good credit score even if the other stuff is bad. This takes up 1/3. All right, imagine having a final. All right, you have, a final and there's one question that's 35%, but you can get it right. You already know what the question is before you go in and take that final. Okay, you already have an A+ on 35% of the test. Okay, so having a good credit is very simple, and all you have to do is follow the tips I'm going to show you guys right after I go over the next sections here. Second section, current amount owed. Okay, and this is technically a percentage. All right, hence why I have the cool, giant Pac-Man picture that the lady's holding, and it takes about 30% of your total credit score. All right, excuse me, hold on. So, like I said, this is a percentage. So, like I said in the first video, when you open up a new line of credit, specifically revolving credit for a credit card, there will be a credit limit, which essentially says, okay, you can't spend more than $1,000 of our money without having to pay it off, and then you can do it the next month, the next month, the next month. But you're limited to $1,000 a month. Okay. Having a good percentage would be having, let's say 50, 100 of that $1,000, and only using that much. Keeping that amount that you're using of the credit low means that you have it, but you don't have to use it, which with your credit score will help it, because people like seeing that you have credit available, but you're not a ridiculous spender and you're financially responsible and you don't have to use it. Okay, and if you do use it, please pay it off, which goes back to, of course, the first one, payment history. All right, so now let's move on to the third section, average credit history. So this one can confuse a little bit of people. All right, so like I said, again, I keep referencing the first video. There are 3 types of credit. 2 of them mainly comprise your credit score, which is installment credit, which has to do with loans, any type of loan, specifically for people that are likely watching this video in college or just out of college, student loans. And then there is revolving credit, which we all know as our credit cards. Okay, so basically for every line of credit, every account that you have that has to do with credit, which could be a loan or a credit card, the amount of time you've had that credit card open or loan open basically gets averaged into a number. Okay, so for me, I think I'm at about 2 years of average credit, and that's because I opened some credit cards recently. Okay, so there's some tips I'm also going to cover later. I just want to quickly go over these. This one takes about 15%, so it's not as important as the first 2, but it is definitely important. This is why you should not close your credit. All right, keep your credit open as long as you can. use it, and show that you can handle it. That's essentially what this is looking for, that you can handle having credit for a long time. All right? Next, credit mix. Okay, so just like I said, again, installment credit is loans and revolving credit is credit cards. Okay, they're the third version of credit, which is seen as open credit. That isn't used as much in today anyways. It's used mainly for utilities, but I don't even have that, and I pay my own utilities for the house that I'm renting. Okay, but credit mix is basically what your credit score uses to decide if you are capable of having loans and credit cards. So if you just have a credit card and no loans and you want to go, take a loan out, the people who are lending you the money could look at you and go, well, you've never taken a loan out, so how do we know you're going to pay it back? Okay, that's the point of having a credit mix, that you have shown that you are capable of having different types of credit. Loans, credit cards are the two big ones. All right. Lastly, new credit. Okay, so this one actually is it can be a little bit confusing for some people, and I actually can get confused with this one too. I'm not sure if I should just be opening credit cards all the time, if I should wait a month, a year in between, because it's not as specifically stated, but luckily it is only 10% of your total credit score here. Okay, so essentially opening new credit is good because it basically means that, hey, I am willing to take on more credit. I feel like I'm financially responsible enough to take on more credit, right? This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to open up new accounts. It could mean that you just expand on the credit you already have. So an example of this would be, I have a credit card. It has a $1,000 credit limit, which means I can't spend more than $1,000 in a month. But then you contact them and say, hey, I would like to, raise that credit limit to $2,000. I can handle it. I got a raise. I can afford it, blah, 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 right? So now you just basically got some new credit, and I think that counts. Okay, this is where it's a little bit of a gray area. Okay, moving on. So here we are with my score at age 22. Yes, I am 22. Yes, I am young, but I do like to study this. Hopefully, I am sharing my knowledge appropriately with all you guys. Okay, my credit score is 750, and you can believe it or not believe it, but it is kind of awkward that it is, what all commercials show. Yay, I got a 750, right? Which I think is above the average, which I have on the next slide. Yes, it is, but we will get that in a moment. So here we are with 6 things. So if you remember, I showed you guys 5, and that's because there's a 6th one that, not all credit card companies use to show your credit. Okay, so like I said, payment history, credit card use, derogatory marks, credit age, and total accounts. Okay, and I covered a majority of those 5 above, and as you can tell, high impact is good, medium impact is not so good, low impact is bad, right? So I have 10 total accounts here, okay, that are open and closed. They want me to have almost 20, okay, which means I got to pay off debt. Because once it's closed, it's still going to be counted there, but then I can feel comfortable taking more debt on, and I can add those total accounts. Okay, opening new credit cards goes for the same thing. They want to see that I have had and paid off, or still currently have a lot of lines of credit or accounts for credit that basically shows that I'm good for it, that I'm a financially responsible human being. Okay, like I said, my credit age isn't too great. I started in college with getting a credit card. If you are in college right now, I recommend you get one. Okay, get a credit card if possible, and then follow the tips that I'm about to cover. Okay, and lastly, this last one on the bottom right, hard inquiries. I didn't specifically hit on this one because it's superbly simple. Essentially, if you ever get your credit checked from a lender because you're trying to do a refinance or something like that, it could potentially be seen as a hard inquiry, and that just basically means your credit was checked by a lender. You don't want to get your credit checked every so often. Utilizing different websites is totally free and doesn't hurt your credit. It is seen as a soft inquiry, but when you're actually trying to get a new loan, a big loan, there will be a hard inquiry that hits your account or your credit score. And having 2 and they slowly go away, I think within a year or 2 they disappear. Having less than 2 is optimal. Okay, so the average credit score is about 680. Okay, and I know for a fact that after I show you guys these tips here, that every single one of you guys, as long as you can get a just normal job, whether it is hourly or salary based or whatever it is, you guys can build your credit. You do not need a lot of money. All it takes is discipline and financial responsibility. Okay. Like I said, I am at 750 and I haven't done anything special. I haven't even paid off my student loans yet, not even close. All right, and I have over $100,000 in student loans. Okay, so anyone can do it. Okay, so here we are with the tips. The first one, only use your credit if you have that amount of money in your bank account. Okay, super simple. If you don't have the money in cash, don't use it in credit. Okay, you will get caught one of those times where you buy a cool TV, right, for $2,000. You only have $1,000 in your account, hoping that you get that, work paycheck or something. Something happens and you don't get the money. Now you have $1,000 that you owe the credit card company, and they have ridiculously high interest rate, which means for every day that you do not pay off the amount you owe the credit card company, they make more money on it. And this is how credit card companies survive, is people who cannot pay off their credit cards. That's how they survive. And that kind of ties into the second one, pay on time, right? You want to avoid fees and interest on your credit card. A credit card is free for the first month, so only use it while it's free. Don't pay any extra money when you don't have to. Okay, guys? Plus, by paying on time, you help your credit, which is also great as well. Okay? Next, do not close accounts. So like I kind of said earlier, you want to help that metric that talks about the length, the average length of your credit accounts, okay? Leave them open if you can, all right? If you're looking at, your loans, go ahead and close those. You don't want to be paying interest. But for credit cards, leave those things open, okay? Even expand your balance. Even if you don't use them, don't close them, because they are helping your credit score just by having them open, right? You don't even have to use it. All right? Next, use a fraction of your credit. And I already hit on this earlier, okay? If you have $1,000, try not to use more than half. And when you do, pay it off, okay? So you will see your credit fluctuate based on how much money you expend versus how much money you bring in, okay? How much money they are willing to give you based on your credit limit, okay? So try and keep that fraction low, will always help your credit score. And it is not that big of a chunk of your credit score, but it is important, okay? Also, if you can, always pay with credit. So some people might think that I am, going against what I said earlier, okay? I pay with credit for every single thing I buy if I can, okay? So I pay my utilities with a credit card. I pay my Wi-Fi with a credit card. I pay for my groceries with a credit card. I buy my gas with a credit card. For one thing, buying with a credit card is safer, because should someone steal your credit card or steal your credit card number, you can simply just say, nope, that wasn't me. Get a new credit card, and you won't have to face the financial responsibility for doing it. It's not that hard, okay? You use a debit card for everything. You're not building your credit, and if you lose your credit card or someone steals your credit card number or personal information to get your credit card number, it's a little bit more tricky to make sure you don't pay that off, right? Because that money in your account is physically gone. That was cash, not credit. It's easy to shut down credit. Very easy. Okay? So if you can, always pay with credit. Always pay on time, but always pay with credit if you can by following the first rule. Only use credit if you have the money in your account physically. Okay? Which does go along with just living smart, living financially responsible. Don't buy stuff you can't afford. All right, guys? And I think this might be the last one. Oh, yeah. Why do I even have to say this? Do not open credit for your kids. So when you get old enough, some parents like to open a credit card or open a credit account for their kids. For the most part, it could go well, and you could help them with their credit score because, of course, the time, length, metric, paying it off on time. Hopefully, that's where the issues come in. All right. I have seen multiple stories of kids whose parents opened up a line of credit for them and just used it and never paid it off. Absolutely butchered their kid's credit score. Their kid comes in having not used a single credit card once, and their credit score is absolute garbage. Don't do that to your kid. The only time I would say, sure, go ahead and do it is if you are probably one of the most financially responsible people who is making a lot of money, and you could afford to open a $1,000 line of credit for your kid. okay? But it's also good for them to learn how to be financially responsible on their own. Okay, that's the point of your credit. It is basically a rating on how financially responsible you are. So please make sure that you let them learn that, or try your best to teach them. Be a good parent. Okay, I'm not here to teach you how to be a parent either, so I'm going to move on from this. So that is it for the video, guys. If you guys are interested in opening a new line of credit, I have a deal in the description on a specific credit card company that will give you an extra $100 once you spend $1,000. Okay, so go ahead and check that out if you are interested. Also, the next video coming up is basically focusing on, you know, the perks of using credit cards, as well as the perks that credit cards offer. Okay, so we're gonna hit both of those here in the next video, so please stay, you know, on the channel here for the next video. It should come up automatically. And for everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you found this at all useful. And also, like I always say, if you are interested and you think you need some help one-on-one, please feel free to email me and schedule a 30-minute time period with me, and I'll be glad to help you. All right? Have a good one, guys. Thank you.